Hey guys, Alex here from TCG HQ. It's been a while since the channel and the team have actually uploaded any videos, and since I've come back from Japan and Hong Kong, it's been something I've been meaning to do and get back into for quite some time now. So with these videos, it might be quite similar to before. We'll be doing the same sort of videos such as deck profiles, tournament reports, video interviews, fun challenges that Tamao and James have actually done previously. But something that I'm particularly keen on doing are player profiles, particularly for UK players, to sort of raise awareness of us who have been in the game in a long time, any past successes, recent successes, generally anyone who's actually played in the UK, just to give us a better global profile. After all, this past weekend, we've seen the UK scene is growing. We've had our biggest nationals ever, and probably one of the biggest nationals ever outside of the US. Now hopefully it won't just be by myself. I will make the other team get involved as well. I mean, I don't particularly have a face for videos or voice for radio, but the more people who enjoy it, give me better feedback, the more I actually try to do and release more videos. And for those that you don't, well, you know where the door is. Nah, I'm just joking, guys. Or am I? Does this face look like I'm joking? Moving on. So, on to our first video, back in a long time now, and it's only ever going to be one video, and we have to make it special. We have an exclusive interview, because he is our team member, with none other than the UK 2016 Pokemon TCG champion, Tamao Cameron. So, welcome to Mal. This is our first video back on our revived channel. You are the UK National Champion 2016. How does it feel?
Yeah, it feels really good. I definitely wasn't expecting to go into the tournament. I didn't prepare enough for it, but it feels good to know that I have won at least one big tournament under my belt in my Pokemon career. So yeah, it feels awesome.
Yeah, I mean, considering this is likely to be our last UK Nationals, it was your last chance saloon for it, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely. If it is our last ever UK Nationals, obviously there's been rumours going around. Nobody really knows anything, but if it is the last ever official UK Nationals as a UK-only tournament, then it'd be nice to be the last ever winner, I guess. As kind of leave it at that as the reigning UK champion.
Yeah, congrats one more time. I mean, any bit of banter of Luke and anyone in their household so far? Any rubbing it in, or have you been too busy to do that?
Oh, I don't. I rub it in whenever I can. Whenever James walks into a room, he has a good old football chant whenever he sees me, and it's going to get a bit old soon, but he'll keep it going.
I can't wait to hear it when I'm around again. Right, so just quickly, how's your season been leading into Nationals? If you just quick rundown.
Okay, this has been an odd old season. I didn't take it too seriously, apart from the ECC, which I took very seriously. I've never taken a tournament that seriously in my life, and so I got top 8 at ECC. Other than that, I've just been trying to do well with wacky decks, to be honest, and it's semi-paid off. It gave me a respectable total of 685 going into Nationals. I've been playing some weird stuff like Quad Fright Night, and Yveltal Zoroark Gallade Vespiquen, which was a very fun deck, and just getting points of them, so it's kind of paid off. I managed to have fun and get my top 22, so I definitely prefer that to last season where I super try-harded and didn't make top 22, so yeah.
Definitely well deserved this time. I mean, going into Nationals, you probably were one of the favourites actually going in. You were first to be drafted.
Not for everyone.
I don't know. I mean, there were a lot of drafts going around online. A lot of them have picked you first in the first round. So, I mean, there's a lot of pressure on you actually going into the tournament, is it not? Or did you not feel anything at all?
I believe I got picked fourth round in one of the drafts. So there were a good, maybe 12, no, maybe even more. At least 12 people picked before me. And I think I was picked 8th in one of the other drafts. So I actually really didn't feel too much pressure, to be honest, and I didn't put too much pressure on myself either. I didn't super try hard it. I didn't sweat it out. I just went into it thinking, if I do well, that'd be great. If I don't, then I didn't deserve to do well because I didn't really try. So.
No, that's fair enough. So going into your deck choice, I actually have your deck up on this little sort of video as well. But you chose to play Vesper Queen Vileplume. You've covered it a bit on the stream before, but just quickly go into the reasons why.
Yeah, so I didn't really. I was pretty much going to be playing Night March. I had a list that I really liked. It won a regional somewhere in Europe. I saw the list. It had like 0 text, and I thought that deck is amazing because it has 0 text and still winning. And I think you mentioned that you were considering Vileplume Vesper Queen actually as maybe like a 3rd or 4th choice. I can't remember exactly what, but kind of put the thought in my head. I was like, I have all the cards for that. I can build that. And I played against it like once maybe, and when I played against it, it was the most demoralizing thing. I couldn't do anything. So if I could do that like 8 rounds in a row, I could probably make cuts. So that's why I played it.
You weren't trying to make any friends in this tournament then?
Oh, I've made enough friends now. I can start making some enemies. I think it's fine.
I mean, all right. So yeah, I mean, the rest of us as a team, I think none of us played the same deck. If I can recall, oh no, Corey and Ben both played Night.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
So it was a big mixture of all of us. Playing Vesper and Vileplume, were they in matchups you were trying to avoid, or you knew that you really didn't want to play against?
So I was trying to avoid EX decks all day. So I kind of built my deck to handle Night March and Greninja better. I took out Battle Compressor. Battle Compressor is great against the EX decks because it lets you pump more damage into the discard pile. But against stuff like Night March and Greninja, you need so few Pokemon in your discard to be taking knockouts. So that was one of the cuts I made, and it almost didn't pay off because I played 2 Mega Decks in the first 2 rounds, each with at least 2 hex, one with 3 hex. So it was a bit iffy. I didn't want to play Mega Decks. I played a Mega Deck on stream as well, and I somehow beat all 3 of them despite kind of nerfing my deck towards those. Other than that, I didn't want to play against. I didn't want to see a Wobbuffet. So any deck with a Wobbuffet, I just didn't want to see. Other than that, I felt like the deck could pretty much beat everything. So I wasn't too worried about any matchup.
No, it's a very consistent list, so it's not really anything to worry about, even if you do go up against Megas in the end. Let me just have a quick look here. So, just having a little look at your list in total. As I just mentioned, it's pretty consistent. It's pretty standard. Up until I look at the second row, which is the supporter line.
Yeah, why not?
Just quickly explain one of those 4 one-offs. I guess is probably the main ones to look at.
So the way I look at this deck is, it doesn't really matter whether a card is a supporter or a trainer, as long as you don't put too many supporters in, because at the end of the day, like, you're going to have trainer lockup, and even if you get to use the supporter just once, like, it's kind of hard to explain, but it doesn't actually. It's actually probably better. Some of the cards, it's better that it's a supporter because you can use it whilst you're on the trainer lock. So the first one, the AZ and Lysander kind of go hand in hand. They do similar things. They break certain locks. Lysander gives you really favourable trades sometimes as well. I used it really, like, it was very important sometimes. Like, I used Tommy in the final. I think it was in the final. It might have been in the top 4. I Lysandered for 2 prizes, knowing that my DC was one of my last 3 prizes,
I
and
think
I got
it was
the
your top
DC
4
for
match.
pretty much the game. Sorry?
I think it was your top 4 match. That was quite an important play.
Yeah, it probably was top 4 match, actually, come think of it. So yeah, like, there were so many important times with Lysander where you need to take initiative, take momentum. AZ, similar thing. A, it's Bianca, because you're always going to have Shaman on your bench. B, you pick up stuff that you start with, and C, you pick up Vileplume when it gets Lysandered if you can't get a Flowstone on. So AZ was just going to be a general utility card. Judge was great all day. It stops you decking out. It stops. I feel like it's so much better than red card, because you don't even mind using it turn 1, because like you have unknowns, so you can judge yourself and then keep on drawing. You get Shamans, draw more. So it served dual utility of stopping you decking out and disrupting your opponent just before you get the train lock up. And again, it's a supporter, so if you are getting to the point where you're decking out, it gives you an out to stop it. So whereas some trainers wouldn't be able to do it. And Misty is just a consistency card, really. It's great because you discard a card from your hand. Usually, a card from your hand is useless, so that's actually a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it stops you having to use Sycamore to dig. A lot of the times later on in the game, you'll have to dig for that DC, dig for that Vespercon piece, and you get close to decking out, or you deck out because you have to use Sycamore. Whereas Misty's just negates that totally and lets you keep a deck size while still being able to dig through your deck. So that's the reason I played that card.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a card that we don't ever see much in decks in general, to be honest. I had a chance to play it myself, and it became a quick favourite of mine as well in Toad. Just grabbing a DCE seems so useful, like an overpowered trainer's mail or computer search, however you want to look at it.
That's essentially what it is. It's just a trainer's mail on something else. It's just like digging double. It feels like a lot more than double a trainer's mail. It feels like, and especially the fact that you can get anything with it. So yeah, it's an insane card, definitely.
Yeah, no.
In some decks.
Yeah, exactly. The list looks great. So I guess we'll quickly go through like a quick rundown of day one. Just have a quick run through of what sort of matchups you went up against. You don't have to go into too much detail, of course.
Sure. Let's put me on the spot. So
I do my
really
best.
testing me. So round one, I played Mega Ray.
Okay.
Very hard matchup because they have Hex. They have 220 HP basic, well, not basic, but 220 HP Pokemon, which is really hard to kill. I think I took game one really handily because of a really slow setup. And game two, I feel like I knew I lost the game if my opponent played perfectly. And there was a set of plays my opponent could have made to 100% win the game, but maybe it was a little bit more. He was relatively new to the game. I did tell him, I did advise him the route he could have taken to win the game after, just to help him out for future games. So that was a really, really close second game at least. So I took that 2-0. Next, I was against George Boone, which is unfortunate to play him so early because he's a good friend. And he's playing Mega Man with 3 Hex Maniac. Fortunately, he missed energy. He went first both games, and he missed energy turn one both games. He got a pretty decent setup apart from missing the energy, and that just meant I can attack with a Vesperquin turn one and it be safe. He did throw out. I didn't go for train lock in one of the games because I just wanted to go for a more one-hit KO strategy and dump all the Bathroom line. And he did surprise me with Mega Turbo, and he managed to return KO me. So I was a lot more wary, and I started going for the train lock route in game 2 after that. Because I thought, initially I thought he plays 3 Hex, I'm not going to bother going for train lock, but Mega Turbo just threw a massive spanner in the works. So
something you
I took that game. Yeah, I did take that game. Game 3, I can't remember what order I played these games. I think game 3 was a Night March, and Night March is a really good matchup for this deck. Like as soon as you get train lock up, you pretty much win unless they have the perfect hand constantly. So I think I can't remember much of the set. I think it was just a pretty simple 2-0.
Is that regardless of going first or second?
Sorry?
Is that regardless of going first or going second against Night March? Does it matter generally?
It doesn't. I mean, if you go first, then you just win. If you go second, then you have to play well and win. But it's a good matchup going first or second, to be honest. A lot of people think, oh, you can play Hex Maniac and go nuts again, but you can't really because you can't set up with Shaman, so you don't really burn through your deck even if you set up a hand with Hex Maniac and things like that. So it's not the end of the world going first, definitely. If you go second.
Yeah.
Round 4, I played Alex Pike playing Greninja. It wasn't a matchup I was too confident in, but it seemed to go quite well. I think I remember getting a very crucial Lysander and a Jirachi at some point. I really didn't want to commit a DC because I saw the Jirachis on the bench, and I managed to dig through my deck and get a Lysander, just knock them out. So he never had that route available to him. And other than that, I think the training lock just hurt him so much. And it's like sometimes you see, I played against Scott Simmons in that matchup a lot the night before, and he seemed to draw quite well under train lock, so I got a pretty bad impression of that matchup. But yeah, that went more like how I wanted it to go to. So I won that one 2-0 as well, I believe. And then round 5, I play against Jake Morgan. I get paired down to him.
Right.
And Jake Morgan was playing Toad Giratina, which is a fantastic matchup, but I didn't see any ball plumes at all in all 3 games. I think maybe game 2 I got it out or something. I can't remember exactly, but I remember game 3 specifically going through about 40 cards and not seeing an oddish.
That's
and yeah, if they ever attack with Giratina, you lose. So that was a bit disappointing. And so I lost that 2-1. Well done to Jake. He was the only person to beat me all tournament.
Your only loss of the day?
Yeah, fair play to him. Round 6 was on stream, so you can go watch that if you want to. I was against Michael Cornwall's Mega Sceptile deck, and I cheated apparently and played 2 supporters.
All the controversy here.
Yeah, all the controversy. In my defence, if you go back and look over it, I actually gained nothing by doing that because I could have Lysander next turn and it would have been the exact same. In fact, you'll see I promoted Bonnelby and then Lysandered. So if the judge had caught that, I was screwed because he would just use Jirachi to knock off the DC of my Bonnelby. If I really, really wanted to cheat, I would have left the Bonnelby on the bench and Lysandered first and tried it that way. So
very true.
So
I guess the other drawback of Misty's it is like just a trainer's mail, just another trainer card or item card.
Yeah, exactly. And I'd never played Misty before the tournament. I didn't even play a testing game with it. It still felt quite new to me. I had the whole turn strategy planned out. I even knew in my head I was playing 2 supporters, but I didn't realise that I was playing 2 supporters, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, Misty's for the DC, get it, Lysander, start using Bonnelby. But
yeah, I guess we can give you a small benefit of the doubt there.
Yeah,
just a small one. There was a video of UK national controversy.
Yes, I saw. So. I did reply to it in a comment. It's only fair. Like, I hold my hand up. I made a huge mistake. But I will say that it really didn't impact that game, and I lost anyway. So I gained nothing from cheating. Yeah, so that was. I won that eventually 2-1. I think. Yeah, because I lost that game too. Really close set though, really close set, and it was nerve-wracking actually because that's the first time I've been on such a huge stream, and it was pretty much for all the marbles, like losers out, winner has to win one more game and win one and draw one. So yeah, next round I get paired against Shivam, and I'll be honest, I'm pretty happy because he's playing Yvetal, Zorak Galade, and that's a pretty good matchup, and I'm especially happy because I see him dumping all his EXs. Because he thinks, oh, Vespercom's going to take 2 prizes, which is a fair assumption. But I was never taking 2 prizes off the X's because there's no way I can get enough damage in the discard pile to have to do that. So that makes my life a lot easier. Yeah, the matchup's pretty standard. I think he goes first both games, and I still win 2-0 because like Zoraks and the stage ones, they require DC. Same with Vesperquim, but I can set a lot more up in one turn, so I end up winning that 2-0 quite comfortably. And then I get paired against Scott Burgess, and for somebody who has apparently never ID'd for in his life, we agreed to ID. And
wow, you got Scott to ID.
I didn't actually know ID, but fair to him, we both made a cut because of it. Thankfully, if one of us made it, well, I would have whiffed the cut. He was definitely guaranteed cut. I would have whiffed the cut if anybody, but my resistance was good enough in the end, and 6-1-1s made it in. So yeah, it was good. It was a good decision from both of us. He wasn't all too keen about IDing it being the first time, but I think he was relieved afterwards. I hope he was anyway.
Yeah, I guess to be fair, it seemed like you didn't really drop a game apart from to Jake, so you pretty much were on the upper tables most of day one. So yeah, you can count on your resistance sort of dragging you in, regardless of whether you were going to be on the bottom.
And on top of that, I had a fairly decent matchup against Scott, as he was playing the same as Shivam, Yvetal, Zorak Galade. So I think that probably factored into him wanting to ID as well. So yeah, just happened to make a cut after that. It was a really big relief because I haven't cut Nationals in a very long time, actually, and it's been long overdue. Not since my very first season back in the SP era, so
Wow,
it's been a
big
while.
achievement. Right. Well, so I mean, your final record was 701?
611.
611. Jesus, sorry.
Yeah.
That. All right. Okay. So you saw you saw what was going into day 2, what was going into Top Cut. I believe it was you with Vesper and Valplume. There was a Night March Vesper Quinn, 2 Trev decks, and Yveltal. Actually, it was a nice mixture. Yveltal, Zoroark, Yveltal, and Greninja. So were there any decks of those that you wanted to avoid, or were you just sort of happy you were in cut? You were pretty confident of what you were going to go into.
Honestly, no. I was looking at it, and there's no matchup worse than 50-50. The only decks that I'd maybe be like, oh, I don't really want to play them too much is Trevenant, but as I said in the interviews, Luke plays Trevenant, so I know the matchup, and no offense to them, but both the Trevenant players were more inexperienced compared to some of the other players in Top Cut. So they were more likely to make mistakes, especially against the Valplume Vesperquin deck, in which case you have to play really on point against to beat them. So I wasn't too worried about any matchup going into Cut, to be honest, apart from maybe Oliver Barnett, because I didn't know what his deck was. All I knew was Quad Zoroark, which at the same time isn't too worrying, but I just didn't know what kind of techs he could have fit in the deck that could maybe help him against me. So the only deck I really wanted to play was Joseph Phillips's Night March Vesperquin, because that's just as auto win as it gets for my deck, and I was lucky enough to get that in top 8, so that was great.
Yeah, so I guess you pretty much started off already, so you might as well. So now that you made it in day 2, did you get much sleep in preparation? Did you just knock yourself out and just get ready? I think it was at 8 in the morning start.
Yeah, it was an 8 a.m. start, and I can't remember what time we got. I think we got back at like 1 maybe, and I think I needed to wake up at 6 because I had to shower, and everyone else had to shower before that. And I was like, okay, because I'm making everyone else have to wake up, I guess I'll shower first. So I only got about 4 hours sleep maybe, but it was enough. You can live on 4 hours, just crash out the next evening, it's fine.
Yeah, I can't remember living on more than 4 hours sleep generally, especially in Pokemon tournaments anyway. All right, so I guess let's have a quick talk about your Top Cut. So as you just said, you had Joseph Phillip in top 8 with his Night March Vesperquin deck, which knocked me out essentially, unfortunately.
Oh no, I didn't know that. I'm happy I got revenge, I guess. It was a very, very straightforward matchup. I cottoned on towards the end of game 1 that Joseph probably wasn't playing Dimension Valley. I also cottoned on that he probably wasn't playing Fight and Drew-About, and all those things kind of led me to a like I won game 1 comfortably, but it led me to an even more streamlined strategy where in game 2, where I knew I was just going to Sky Return all day in that matchup, because it knocks out Joltix. They can't really do anything. Like if they send up a Pompigou, it can't ever attack. If he sends out anything else, I just knock it out of a Vesperquin because I have DC in hand. Like it was, when your main attacker is Joltik, Sky Return chain is just unbeatable really, because you get to always keep your resources in your hand. So I never really lost DCs in that matchup, and it was pretty simple. Top 4, we go on to Oliver Barnett's Quad Zoroark.
So into the unknown.
Sorry?
Into the unknown here, where you had no idea what was in his deck.
And he was like before the game, like just when we were watching other matches, he was trash talking me quite a lot. He was saying he was going to he was so confident in the matchup. And
Oliver Barnett, you beast.
I know. And to be fair, it puts things in your mind, because like I was trying to think, okay, he's playing Quad Zoroark. What on earth could he have in his deck? He doesn't play any EX Yveltal, so that's a huge thing for me, because I know I'm not getting punished for cutting out Battle Compressor. So it put things in my mind, thinking, what on earth could he have that could really hurt me? And like I thought about it, it's like, okay, maybe a couple of copies of Hex, a Lysander, and a Fright Knight, but apart from that, there's not much that can hurt me in a deck like that. So it turned out to be right. There wasn't much in that deck, to be honest, that could hurt me.
I mean,
I
in
won
just
a very, very simple game one because Valkyrie luck is insane. Game two, I believe, is a bit closer, but I never really felt under too much pressure. I don't think. Obviously, I knew one of my DCs was prized in that game, and I knew I had a 2 in 3 chance of winning the game by just using my center. If I didn't hit it, then I would have probably lost that game. But I'll take the 2 in 3 chance to basically get my top 22 invite any day, to be honest. So that was a really good feeling. That was by far the game I was most nervous for throughout the whole day. My top 4 match with Olive Bonner, because I was basically playing for like £2,000 or whatever, however much the hotel and the free trip and everything, and day 2 as well, and everything, all the benefits that come with that. I was playing for a lot in that game, and I actually felt the pressure for the first time in a long time in my Pokemon career. So that was a good feeling that was like the biggest win of the league when I won that.
So yeah, just going into the final, then it was a lot more relaxed against Scott. I mean, you ID'd with him in day one.
Like Scott's a really, really great guy, top guy, and we had the fortune of having Danilo as our table judge, and I really like Danilo. He's a pretty sweet guy. I played him top cut of ECC and basically the round before the winning in the top 8, so he's obviously a really good player as well. But yeah, we had that match that we had at the ECC was the most chill match for a match that should have been really, really competitive. It was super chill, and we were just like making jokes and having a laugh the whole time, and it was quite cool to see him as the judge for the final, because I knew it would be a bit more relaxed, and it was more relaxed, and it probably showed in the gameplay.
Right,
Because I definitely made some. I'll back myself up here again. I watched it back. I made questionable plays, but I can justify it. If anybody says that was a misplay, apart from one thing that really stood out, I can justify each one of those plays that I made, including AZ-ing that ball flame. I don't think AZ-ing my shaman. I don't think that was a strict misplay at all. Looking back on it,
I'm gonna disagree with you, but you were in the moment. You could see your hands.
Okay, this is where I'm coming from with this, because I think this is a really important deal. If I knock out his Yveltal EX with Vespiquen, I lose the game. I flat out lose the game. I've got about 6 cards left in deck. I need to start taking prizes. So if I knock his Yveltal out with Vespiquen, I can't. It's got 60 damage on it already. He Sky Returns, he wins the game, because I have no more Vespiquens left. I can't Sky Return for the rest of the damage. So I put exactly 12 Pokemon in my discard pile, meaning I did 140 damage, so that I could attack a Yveltal with Vespiquen, do 140 damage, then retreat into a Shaman and Sky Return, so that I never have to have that Vespiquen open and susceptible to being Sky Returned on. I knew he had a DC in hand, so I either AZ Shaman and give myself a chance of winning there by using Vespiquen to attack and do 140 damage and hope he doesn't have Lysander, or I just sit there and Sky Return, and I don't think that would be enough to win the game. So I think I made the game-winning play with that AZ, rather than what may look like the safe play and holding on to it to save for the Valkyrie on the bench, to be honest. So there's my justification for that. You can all disagree with me if you like, but that is what was going through my head at the time. So.
No, that's fair enough. I mean, he did need to have the Lysander in hand to even bring up your Vileplume anyway.
And I had a feeling he had it, because I'll be honest, I heard some shouting and stuff when he drew the Lysander. I'll be honest, like the noise cancelling headphones don't cancel everything.
The crowd, not me, obviously, because I'm such a good person, was so loud the whole top cut. It was a good atmosphere, wasn't it?
And to be honest, like even me and Scott both said at the time, we wanted to put on a good show. When he started using Moonless Madness on my shaman, I was like, I said to him in the mic, listen to the cheer for this. So I attached the DC and went for the Sky Return attack and flip tails, and I was like, yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, I think
it was really good fun.
Was that right? Was that game 2 where you got confused, and I think you tried a Sky Return 2 or 3 times, and it was just putting too much damage on the poor shaman.
I think it was game.
Was it game
that
1?
was a misplay by me. I should have tried to attack through confusion one more time.
Yeah.
I got it. My shaman got up to 60 damage, and then I got scared and retreated the shaman and Sky Returned again, because I don't know what I was scared of. Because at 60 damage, there was nothing nothing I should have been worried about, because he couldn't really do 20. If I take 30 more damage from Confusion, there's nothing in his deck that really can do 20 damage for 1 energy, unless he AZs and then Sky Returns, in which case fair play. But I should have Sky Returned one more turn. That was a misplay. I'll hold my hand up to that.
Oh, he's admitted to one misplay then.
Yeah, there's one. I also apparently battle compressed a Combi in game 3, and that was definitely a wrong play, because I think I was desperate for a little bit of extra damage, but there was probably some other Pokemon in my deck that I could have compressed instead.
Yeah, so game 1, I guess you ended up losing because of the Vileplume being dragged up.
Yeah.
Game
there's
2,
no way of getting out of that.
Game 2, did that go as smoothly as for you? I mean, I think from what I remember, the whole series wasn't that smooth in general for either player.
It was a series of awkward things, to be honest. Game 2 was as smooth as it got in terms of how the final went. Like it was all right. It was an all right game, apart from getting confused and flipping a lot of tails and confusion flips. Apart from that, it went pretty smoothly. Game 3 was where I started panicking a little bit. I remember seeing my opening hand, thinking, okay, congratulations, Scott, on winning UK National Championships. And then he hexed turn 1, and I thought, okay, I have a chance. His head actually hurt me because my hand is terrible. And then he Moonless Madness, instead of rushing in with Zorak and using Mind Jack. And I thought, okay, I really have a chance now, because if he Mind Jacked, I would have. I understand where he was coming from. He wanted to be really safe, but I think he was playing way too safe then. If he actually Mind Jacked, I think I would have lost that game. But I got lucky, and he decided to go for the Moonless Madness, and I think that was a big swing point of that game, actually. It let me eventually get something set up, and I got myself into a position where I didn't actually realise that we were so close to time.
Okay.
At all.
Was the clock still running beside the stream?
There was a clock beside the stream, and at the end of every game I did have a look. Game 1 took almost exactly 20 minutes. Game 2 took almost exactly 20 minutes. So in my head, I'm thinking Game 3 is probably going to take almost exactly 20 minutes, so we're probably going to finish this game. So it never even occurred to me to play towards time, and I never actually really looked at the clock, I don't think. And when Danilo said that's time, I was actually like, I wish I'd known that, because I would have probably played my turn quicker so that I could be turn 1 instead of turn 0. So that's how little I was paying attention to time. I could have probably made it so that I had a better position in time, but instead I was 10-0. And it was the judge that sealed it, really, wasn't it? I got the judge of the prizes.
Yeah,
and
definitely a big.
It was the only way I could win, and the only way I could win was him to not really draw a dark energy, to knock out my best friend, and he didn't draw a dark energy.
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up taking it because of dead draws from a judge. Judge won me the tournament, basically.
Clutched it out right at the end.
Yes, it was very. I had no way of winning that game, really. And Scott turned over his next card, and his next card was a card that would let him win the game. So I definitely was lucky, very lucky throughout the whole tournament, because you have to be lucky to win a tournament with 192 odd players. That's huge for a UK national. Yeah. So I'll hold my hand up. I got incredibly lucky, especially in the final. So I also feel like I got incredibly unlucky. So the luck and that bad luck kind of balanced out. Some of the draws that I never got to have a Barnaby in my deck. I almost always had to discard AZ early with Acrobikes and things like that. There was so much jank that was happening with my draws.
Okay.
But it all evened out in the end, I think.
Yeah, I mean, when your opponent dead draws for you to win the national championships, I mean, you just take them when you get the chance. So
yeah, it's so nerve-wracking, because you just assume they have dark energy, they have an energy in their hand. You just assume they have everything they need, and when they promote their Zoro and whatever he did, and Venus Madness me, I was just like, wow, he literally has one more top deck, and if that top deck's not good, then I win the tournament. And at that moment, I'm just like, you're just praying, you're just absolutely praying, you're hoping that the next top deck isn't good, and the next top deck wasn't good. So yeah, it was great.
Yeah, I mean,
Sorry,
you stopped Scott from winning a second national championship. So I think it was 2 years
greedy,
ago,
isn't
wasn't it? Yeah. Right. I mean, that's pretty much your whole tournament. I mean, congrats again. I mean, just last couple of final thoughts on the deck itself. Were there any particular cards that you would change from the deck? For any more?
The list was super tight. I don't think there were, like, obviously if you could have 62 cards, then maybe I'd put back the fourth compressor and maybe a four-factor bike. But because we can't have that luxury, honestly, I think the list was great. I can't say I built the list myself. It was a lot of it was from Andrew Rambolt, but I feel like the changes that I made were improvements to the original list, and like it's honestly one of the best. It feels like one of the best or strongest lists that I've played in my time, including my Man-Bats list from ECC this year, and maybe my Kling Klang list that I played at Vancouver Worlds. Those are amongst some of the best lists I feel like I've made and played in tournaments. So yeah, it felt like I don't think there was anything I would change really in that list at all.
MVP cards, Judge, Misty's. Does Misty's get a mention? Or was it Judge that basically won you the tournament?
Even though Judge won me the tournament, I think Misty's did put in more work throughout the whole tournament. It was probably a supporter card that I used in almost every game to good effect, apart from once where I think it was either against Scott or Oliver. The matches kind of blend because they were both playing dark, but it got me a Sycamore.
Right. Okay.
And I really wanted an Ultra Ball. Because my hand was terrible. So there was one time where I think it was against Scott in game 3 actually. That was the game where it got me a Sycamore, and I was like, okay, I'm going to have to wait a turn then to actually do anything. If I got Ultra Ball, I was away. So that was the one time it disappointed me. Every other time it was so important. So if you're not playing Misty's and Barfling Vesperkin, just try it out, please, because you'll understand. You'll see why. Just because it's a terrible supporter doesn't mean it's a terrible card in this deck. It is fantastic in this deck.
Yeah, I mean, there's quite a few nationals still coming up in the same format, so this is definitely a deck to consider, I guess. Last question before we sort of go: would you consider this for Worlds?
Yeah, absolutely. Like,
with any changes from the new set?
I will be honest, I have no idea what's in the new set. I was opening my box yesterday and having to read every card because I had no idea what any of the cards were doing. And I've since forgotten what the cards were. So I don't think that nothing stood out to me. So I don't think there was anything from the new set. I'm pretty sure you could play an exact 60 card list and do well at Worlds, to be honest, because it seems like it doesn't really matter what's put ahead of you as long as it's not 130. It can be anything. It really can.
No, it sounds really good. I mean, like I said, it's a great list. Very, very standard in some parts, but very techy in some parts as well. Yeah. But it ran well. It won you a national championship. Do you have the trophy there by any chance? Is it still in a box? Is it too far away?
You maybe have to dig for it. It's on the other side of the room, mate.
I'll find your awkward photo that they made you take at the end and use that as like.
I hope did they ever publish that? I hope they didn't.
I don't know, but I'm gonna try and find it wherever I can. It was one of the funniest things.
Above my head like that, and I was like, no, don't do this to me.
You almost had to bend down at the same time. It was quite amusing. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I did. It was not my most graceful movement, but.
All right, cheers for that, Tamao. Like I said, congrats one more time from one second place national champion.
From one champion to another. We did this last year. I interviewed you last year now.
You had to do the reverse.
It was pretty good.
Yeah, congrats one more time. And thanks, everybody. Hopefully we'll do another video pretty soon. See you later.